Disclaimer: Blackmagic did sponsor the last video we did. This video is a review and therefore is not sponsored. And Blackmagic hasn't seen the video before we uploaded it. We run a film production company in Oslo, Norway, and we have 4 main cameras. The first one is the Canon C300 Mark III, which is filming right now. We also have the Panasonic EVA1, which I really like. And we have the Sony A1, which is Morten's favorite camera, I believe. And we have the Blackmagic 6K Pro. Of all of these cameras, this is definitely the cheapest one. Still, we use this a lot, and sometimes instead of the C300. How come? Well, Matthias, cinematographer and part of Use, you really like this camera.
Yeah, I do. I actually like.
And we have Morten. You're also a part of Use. You have used this camera a lot.
Yes,
but you don't you have some disadvantages. Do you know about?
Yeah, I think.
So we're gonna talk about this in this video. Stay tuned. As I mentioned, we did make a video about this camera 5 months ago. So if you want to see that video with all the specification of the camera and some test videos that Matthias shot, you can press the card appearing now or go to the link in the description. So Matthias, you were the first one to shoot with this camera when we received it. What was your first impressions?
I've shot with Blackmagics before. My favorite part about the camera is the interface because it doesn't have a lot of unnecessary things.
And that is something now, you know, when you are working as a film production company or a freelancer, things have to be done quickly. So it has to be easy to just go in, change settings, change from slow motion to a normal motion.
Okay, so I'm actually surprised because this is really fun. I didn't know that we were gonna get such nice shots just by improvising like this. So I'm happy so far.
It's kind of like when you start using this, it's like, why don't everybody else do this kind of menu system? Like going back to the Canon, which is said to have a decent menu system, but it's just like page after page after page. And even we that's been working with film for 10 years, we don't even know what half of that the menu option means. And it's just so much better to have it like this, and maybe you can have like an advanced tab or something with the more advanced stuff. But
then, what was the second thing?
I like that it has ND filters, but that's pretty common now.
Yeah, not at this price point though.
Nah, yeah, that's true.
Built-in ND.
Yeah. I actually keep forgetting how cheap this actually is because I'm comparing it to a lot of cameras that are way more expensive. So, yeah. I also love the image quality that you get, and I like that RAW because it's B-RAW. It plays really nicely in Premiere. You have the highlight recovery in RAW, which is really nice.
I have to say the B-RAW is by far the best RAW format we've used. We have ProRes RAW from the EVA that we tried sometimes. I don't like it. It doesn't work in DaVinci Resolve. We have the Canon RAW Lite from the C300, which is alright, but it's pretty slow. But B-RAW, Blackmagic RAW, is by far the best, and it flows nicely in, of course, DaVinci Resolve, but also in Premiere. You have lots of options for compression as well.
If you don't want to shoot RAW, you can shoot ProRes, and you can truly see, especially when I shot in slow motion, like 120 FPS. Even though it's 120 FPS, it doesn't compress the image that much as, let's say, GH5, where you get quite a compressed image.
And I really like the 6K resolution of it. Matthias and I we were shooting polar bears.
Shooting polar bears?
And we put like a 600mm lens on this. And then we cropped we shot, I think, in ProRes 4K.
Yeah.
And so we cropped in on the sensor, so we got basically, it's already 1.6, so we probably got more than 1,000mm full frame equivalent, which the polar bears were probably like 5 kilometers away. That was really nice. And
so you cropped on the sensor. You did not shoot in 6K.
We could have done that, but we wanted to see the polar bear as closely on the screen while we were shooting as well. So we cropped in camera. And then we had this C300, but we chose to use this because it was nice to be able to have that extra resolution.
Yeah. We kept this for 5 months in the production company we have. And we also have all the other cameras. Why do you think we have actually used this in several projects instead of the C300.
A higher resolution. It's a smaller camera to some extent if you don't rig it up too much, so it can be more gimbal friendly. Mathias and I, when we went to Northern Norway, we brought both the cameras and we were shooting on them separately at the same time.
Like you were sitting on the back side of a snowmobile?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably easier to have this in your hand with the screen.
Yeah, definitely the screen is great and it's pretty bright, so that's a big advantage. It's a bit quicker to set up, because that's the thing with big cinema cameras, when you have to put it all together before every shoot. There's a lot of things with cables, arms. Here it's all built in, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And we also use them for like a lot of interviews when we use the C300 as an A cam and this as a B cam. It's quite easy to match because the raw files are so flexible. So yeah, it's a good second camera for us. In many ways, a better second camera than the EVA 1.
Why is the EVA... Now we're using the EVA 1 over there and the C300 over there. Why? EVA 1 is good.
It's pretty good, but it's... I don't know. I'm not... I don't...
I just want to mention to you guys that the C300, it costs around, I think it's $14,000, isn't it? Around that price?
Yeah, a little less in the US, but
yeah,
here in Norway it's about that price.
And this is 3,000.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing that you can actually just match them pretty well, and image quality wise there's not that much difference.
Yeah.
After using it for a while, I also realized that it has some drawbacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
The lack of an anti-aliasing filter. I don't think any of the Blackmagic cameras has this. I'm not sure, but this definitely does not. And because we use this for interviews a lot, especially one time when one of the guys we were interviewing had a suit that was pretty tight knit. It wasn't like stripes or anything, I think, but it looked horrible on this. It was so much of the moire thing.
Yeah,
moire. And I know you can like buy your own filters to put in front of the sensor or something, at least for the other models of this, but yeah.
So it's a small size camera. The screen, the ProRes, the picture quality, it has an EF mount, so we can use all our Canon EF lenses. So for a running gun camera, I really like it. But there's one thing that actually, which is a bit sad, because it is kind of a perfect running gun camera, except the battery life.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Because I think I had a fully charged battery, and when I put it in, it was like 5 minutes, and then it started blinking red.
5 minutes, and it was fully charged. You're sure?
Yeah. So maybe 10 minutes, but it felt like a really short time. But the battery, like, it keeps going for a while, so you have no control over when is it actually going to shut down.
Okay, that's a bit stressful.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
When you're used to something like Sony cameras, you see the exact percentage, and it's so nice. And on the Canon cameras, you can see exactly how many minutes you have left. And this is quite confusing. And Mathias and I went to like the Northern Norway and shot with it, and the cold, and it didn't matter too much there because we were just shooting like trees and stuff. But if you're doing an interview and you don't know how much you have left on the battery, it's quite stressing.
If the battery, because we have the battery grip, we got the battery grip with the camera. You can just place it underneath, and you can have 3 batteries, and it will last for quite a lot of time. But then it becomes much bigger and a kind of how to say it, a bit
weird form factor.
Yeah, weird form factor. So it's a bit strange to hold it, and you get a bit tired in your hands. So
and when you put it on the tripod, it's a little bit like if you have a longer lens, it's like high up from, and it can shake quite easily.
That's true. So it was a good idea, but it destroys a little bit of the thing I like about it, which is it's a small camera that delivers high quality image and raw.
There are solutions. We have a V-mount, for example, that we bought, like a cable into V-mount, but that again destroys the whole point of the camera of being quite compact. So if you want to use V-mount, I've seen some shitty rigs where you have V-mount underneath and stuff like that. Again, that's the same. Then you can just use the battery grip. But so usually you would have it on like rails, and you will have the battery behind the camera. We've done that sometimes on interviews, but then you're blocking the screen. So you need to have another screen, and then kind of, then the whole point of the camera is gone, in my opinion.
If the screen had tilted to the side as well, that would actually be perfect, because then you could have the V-mount battery here, and it wouldn't take up too much space and get a lot of weight. But as you said, you need another monitor if you're gonna have a V-mount here. So
it's funny because I really like the screen, and that's one of the big things with this. But it drains the battery, and it's so bright, so you can always brighten it down, but then you kind of lose what is good with it. That's really bright. Yeah, it's kind of a plus minus thing there, where you, yes, it's a good screen, but it also takes a lot of battery. We all film in our company, like we all are doing cinematography once in a while, and it's interesting because you have different types of cinematographers. I really like a small compact rig, easy to move around, almost like a documentary style. While you, Matthias, you like to rig up the camera and use more time on each shot to make it perfect.
It's kind of run and gun, that you have hand grip and stuff, but it lacks the functionality to support that in, of course, battery life, but also the things that people use nowadays for run and gun, which is stabilization and autofocus. I don't think autofocus and stabilization is a big deal breaker, but it's kind of the thing you would want in a run and gun camera. So this is more of it has kind of the functionality of a much higher end camera that is not run and gun in a way. It falls between two shapes.
Yeah. I really love the Sigma 18-35mm lens, and it works perfectly on this one. But then you don't have any stabilization. So either you have to use a tripod or a shoulder rig or a Steadicam or something, or use the viewfinder and the shoulder strap to tighten it up and keep it quite stable.
But we don't use that though. Like, we've never used it, I think.
I used it.
You used it.
Yeah.
But the rest of us never used it, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's worth it.
I like it.
I
like it. So yeah, that's just shows we are different types of cinematographers. I really like the viewfinder.
We got some comments on the first video we made that it's called Pro, but it doesn't have an SDI. What do you think about that? It has a full-size HDMI, but do you miss SDI on it?
I don't see that much of a problem with it.
What the thing with me, or for me, is that since this screen is so big, I'm okay with just one HDMI and no SDI, because one of the reasons why I like to have SDI and HDMI is that you can have one extra screen, and you can also have a transmitter, wireless transmitter or something, connected to the SDI. So you can have two outputs to two different things. But this screen is so good that I would like have this, and then I could do the wireless transmission through the HDMI, and that would be enough for me at least.
Or just get a screen like we have the small HD Touch 702, which you can just take HDMI in and you can take HDMI out.
Yeah, that's also true.
So I think it would be nice with SDI, but of course it's nice when you want to run longer cables on set and stuff like that. But yeah. The Pro name is very common in marketing and anything electronics. You have an iPhone Pro, don't you? Like, how is it professional in any way? But I think you can use it in professional things, but
definitely.
And also we have to mention the XLR, mini XLR inputs, and also the mini jack out headphones and the mini jack in microphone. One interesting thing about this camera, which was new for I haven't seen that on other cameras, is that you can use an SSD drive to record on, which makes it a lot less expensive. What do you think of this?
It makes it a lot less expensive, but again, it becomes a little messy because we have this cage which actually fits an SSD pretty nicely, but still there's like cables coming out, which I don't like.
But if you could turn it messy, can you get it to Ronaldo as well? Because that's sorry.
If you want full quality, you need an SSD or a CFast card, and the CFast is expensive and the SSD is a little messy, I think.
I see. So you can't shoot a RAW on the SD card?
Yeah, you probably could with a low compression or high compression, but you would get like 2 minutes of footage.
I wish they'd gone for CF Express instead of CFast. It's more of an egoistic thought because we have that for our C300, but I feel like that's the future of cards. So I feel like more people have those around, even though they're expensive as well, but at least it seems like more of the newer cameras are using that standard. So that would be really nice for us if it had those kind of cards.
But now it sounds like, oh, everyone should use SSD, but it might be more unstable. I read a little bit about it on discussion forums, and some just, it stops working on set. We did have a shoot here in the studio where one guy had 2 Blackmagic cameras, and he has 2 SSD drives as well, and one of them didn't work. So we tried to format and everything, and it stopped working. So
yeah, there's like cables, there's things that can be ripped off during recording, stuff like that. It's not ideal, but it's a good solution if you don't want to spend $1,000 on CFast.
yeah.
Also, one thing that you see, we have the cage, which I think is a must, kind of, if you want to rig it up a bit, if you want to use an external SSD.
Yeah, because I went to my cabin without the cage, and I wanted to use a SSD drive because I had one. And I just gaffer taped it underneath.
Yeah.
It worked. A bit risky. Yeah. Do you think production companies should get this, or is it more maybe for people who wants to buy their first camera? Of course, not all of us do have $3,000 to spend on a new camera, but
I think it's more for beginners and maybe bigger production companies that want to use it as B cam, maybe, or more specifically for a production company that's already using the Ursa line. This is a fantastic camera, like a B cam. But if you want to spend $3,000 on a camera, there is no better video camera out there by far. People starting out that want great image quality and that doesn't bother learning how to use manual focus, which I think is healthy to learn how to use manual focus anyway. And people are too obsessed with autofocus, but manual focus is the way to go on professional productions.
Yeah, but I agree. It's with this camera, if this was my first camera, I would learn so much, and also I would also have the option to shoot high-end productions where you can have RAW and you can build it up with add stuff to it. And also you can have it I believe as a run and gun camera, because I have done that at my cabin and I believe it worked as a run and gun camera. But you have to just think about the battery life. And I did use the battery grip when I used it as a run and gun camera. Again, it wasn't the best thing by having the battery grip because it becomes a bit larger, but it's a camera you can use for different types of things, actually, different types of shoots. So a nice camera to test out and experiment with, and also be sure that you have good quality. Okay, so that was our opinions after having this camera for 5 months. We'll probably still use it, but as Morten said, I have more of a B camera together with the C300 on set. And if you have any opinions about this camera, please use the comment section underneath to discuss and help each other out. And we'll see you again in a new video very soon, because we are planning to make more Making a Film Company episodes, where we actually also reveal a little bit about the financial side of the company. Thanks, Mathias and Morten. Now we can go back to work, and we'll see you again soon. Stay tuned on the channel, subscribe, and ha det bra.